They want your Ohio farmland, but it's not for crops. This time, it's about solar. And here's the kicker. With all these solar farms going up, one would think that electricity prices are going down. But don't get it twisted. Electric bills continue to go up. And many of y'all on my channel have made comments and said, hey, housing nerd, you need to look at the solar farms in Ohio because electricity bills continue to skyrocket. Comment below. Are you seeing higher and higher electric bills or lower electric bills? I know my bills keep going up, even with all these solar farms. And see, that's what nobody's talking about. Farmland across Ohio is being taken acre by acre for massive solar farms backed by huge companies, big tech, and Wall Street hedge funds. Even billionaires like Bill Gates own some of the solar fields here in Ohio. They call it clean energy, but what's really fueling it is greed and your property taxes, by the way. I grew up only 5 minutes or so from this solar field in Granville, Ohio. Now, this particular solar field is owned by Denison University, and they're using it to power about 15% of the college, which actually I got no problem with. That's probably a good use of the land. But this is just a small local example of a much bigger problem. So today on the Ohio Housing Nerd, I'm going to take you on a tour of some of the largest solar farms in the U.S., and they're located right here in Ohio. We're going to talk more about this solar land grab, who's behind it, how much they're taking, and what it means for the housing market. Make no mistake, they want your Ohio farmland. Now that Granville solar field was pretty small, obviously. It's only about 2 megawatts of electricity. But the next project I'm showing you is much larger. Now I was curious as to how many solar projects are active in Ohio right now. And so what I found was pretty shocking. Across the state, there are around 67 operational solar projects right now, with more than 230 permitted for construction. Comment below. Did you know that? And I'm headed to one of those 67 projects down south of Columbus in Ross and Pickaway County lies the Yellowbud solar field, which is monstrous compared to the one we just saw. And have you seen a lot of solar projects popping up in Ohio? If you have, drop in the comments below. Let me know what you're seeing out there. Welcome to Yellowbud Solar. This is a massive solar project covering 2,000 acres in Ross and Pickaway County. But here's the twist. This power is not for you and I. It's for Amazon. National Grid Renewables built it, and Amazon signed a contract to buy all the power. That's right. Amazon is locking in dirt cheap electric while your bills continue to climb. And don't get it twisted. It's not about helping families lower their electric cost. This is about powering mega AI data centers. This project's about a 274 megawatt facility with around 700,000 panels. It offsets hundreds of thousands of tons of carbon dioxide per year. And developers claim it'll generate $90 million in economic growth for this area. But they're not farming corn anymore in these fields. They're farming subsidies. Amazon gets cheap power, developers get tax credits, and locals get higher land prices, and guess what? Higher property taxes. Big tech isn't just buying power control, big tech is buying Ohio land control. And if y'all think 2,000 acres is big, wait till our next stop in Madison County. By the way, I used a website, and the link's in my description below, called Clean View Energy. I highly recommend checking out this site because it'll show you exactly the footprint of the solar fields throughout the Buckeye State. All right, now let's head to Madison County and check out the next site, which is even bigger. This is Squirrel Solar in Madison County. It's Ohio's largest solar farm, developed by EDF and Enbridge. And you guessed it, just like Yellowbud, Amazon is buying up all this power for the data centers and warehouses. The capacity is enormous, 577 megawatts. It covers over 3,000 acres of Ohio farmland. Roughly 650 workers built it, installing up to 10,000 solar panels a day. In fact, there are a total of 1.4 million solar panels on this project alone. Amazon's buying the power, and investors are capturing the tax credits. But the profits leave Ohio, and the farmland never comes back. Make no mistake, this is about feeding corporate giants. It's not about helping Ohio families. Now, the workers here that are actually installing the panels and doing the landscaping, they're probably really good people. They probably have a good job. They're not the ones at fault for taking the farmlands and turning them into solar panels. They're just doing their job. And I actually don't blame the farmers here either that lease the land to the solar companies. Their property taxes have probably skyrocketed out of control, and inflations and tariffs have bit farmers all across the nation. Comment below. Have you seen inflation and tariffs hit your pocket? So they call it renewable energy, but it's really not renewable farmland. I mean, once these panels are used and done, they have to be dismantled, and the farmland has to be reclaimed, which takes years and millions of dollars. And it's not stopping, folks. The largest project in Ohio will soon be done, and it's called Oak Run. And just like Yellowbud, Amazon is buying the power. So it's not meant for you and I. It's not meant for mom and pop. And the land that it's built on is partly owned by Bill Gates. So you not only have big tech companies like Amazon swooping up Ohio farmland for power, but you have billionaires like Bill Gates profiting off of the solar farm development. But one has to wonder, why are they choosing Ohio to do all this? Well, one reason is because land is relatively cheap. And the other big reason is because politicians and leaders continue to give out tax incentives to have these companies come and build these solar farms. Under the hood, this isn't about green energy. It's about corporate leverage and the control of power and land. Here's what no one wants to discuss. What happens after the solar boom? You have a lot of soil compaction and drainage loss. Heavy equipment can destroy that farmland for years. You also have toxic materials that seep into the land. And you've got tens of thousands of tons of material left over when this solar farm runs its life cycle that you'll have to deal with. Don't get it twisted. We all know how things work. After these solar farms are done, they could leave the locals and even the farmer who leased the land holding the bag. But comment below and tell me what you think. Personally, I don't blame the farmers for leasing the land to companies to develop the solar farms. I mean, with property taxes and tariffs and inflation the way it has been, I mean, these farmers are probably doing everything they can to hold on to their property. So I can't fault them for going this route necessarily. But you let me know what you think. So just like my last video about farmland that you can find right here, it's not really about farmland. It's about AI. It's about data centers. It's about Intel's chip factory. It's about corporate giants. And it's also about the housing market because, quite frankly, some of this land could be used to develop for good, affordable housing. But after the construction's finished, these solar farms don't really require a whole lot of workers out there. So it's not like they're employing tens of thousands of workers there. But the incentives that are handed out to these companies for property tax abatements, that's where it intersects mom and pop in the housing market, because property taxes for you and I will continue to go up. And quite frankly, that makes buying the average everyday home in the Buckeye State harder and harder. Across the nation, residential electric bills are up as much as 50% since 2020. And you would think projects like this make electricity more affordable. Unfortunately, what I'm discovering is that the solar farms are built for the big corporate giants. And now that Ohio ranks 8th in the nation for the most expensive property tax rate, you can probably expect more and more incentives for these type of companies down the road. Remember, there are roughly 250 solar farm projects planned right now, and we already have 67. And here's the irony. All of this clean energy that's being developed causes the housing market to be more and more unaffordable because higher property taxes and higher electric bills. Now, don't get it twisted. I'm not against renewable energy. I'm not against the farmers that are leasing the land. I'm not even against the solar companies that built the solar panels or the workers that installed them. I'm just against the illusion that it's free progress, because obviously we're already paying the price. I don't think we're going to stop these type of developments, but there are a few things you can do. Make sure you get involved locally and understand what zoning changes are coming. Support local farmers so they're not forced to lease their land to solar companies. And something I do that I think a lot more Ohioans should do is buying Ohio real estate. Remember, for every piece of property that you or I purchase, that's one less property that can be developed. Now, the other thing you can do is share this video and continue to support the Ohio Housing Nerd. So hit the like button and definitely subscribe if you haven't already. My name's Jason Ferrier. I'm a realtor. I'm an investor right here in Ohio. And if you're looking to buy or sell a piece of property here in the Buckeye State, give me a call. I'm happy to help. Now, I hope you learned something today. If you did, again, hit the like button, subscribe to the Ohio Housing Nerd, and share my video. And by the way, I've done several videos on property taxes. You should check one out right here.